Well, I'll tell you, I mean, he said it right there. Everybody's waiting on the Big Ten. What is this deal going to look like? And I actually, just in like the last 5 minutes, noticed something kind of interesting here. And there may not be anything to it at all or not, but Andrew Marchand, he's probably like the number one guy in the country when it comes to covering sports media, which is weird. People cover sports and then the media gets covered, but like that's how it is nowadays. But he's really good at it, and lots of interesting stories that he'll break or have the inside track on big announcer movements. Like when the Joe Buck stuff was going on, like that's right in his wheelhouse, or the streaming wars and how that's going to affect sports as a whole. He does a great job, and I don't know if this was a slip of the tongue or if this was just a big ball of nothing. But one of the stories for those who like announcer talk is Jason Benetti is apparently in talks to become the number 2 college football announcer, and he would join Brock Heward in a group, okay? So y'all got that, right? Jason Benetti. And Andrew Marchand responds by saying, NBC also liked Benetti. If it had its Big Ten deal done, NBC would likely have been big players. So maybe that's a Freudian slip. Maybe that's nothing at all. But we do know that various networks are trying to carve out a position in the Big Ten. We know they've already got their main player in Fox, and we know that they're probably going to get over $1 billion. It's just a matter of how much over $1 billion do they get, how does that compare to the SEC and whatnot. But we do know that them and the SEC will be in a whole galaxy by themselves. But, yeah, I'm curious to see if that's a slip of the tongue or if, that's just confirmation that NBC is – not that it hasn't been rumored, various networks and all that, but just interesting is what I'm saying.
Well, it's kind of interesting to me that
especially given who does the Notre Dame games.
Yes. Well, and NBC's got to expand. Like if they want to expand, they've got to expand past one team. Now they can still make a sweet deal to Notre Dame if Notre Dame decides to stay independent, but that Fox, who is from the reports, because they are the ones who own the Big Ten Network, are helping guide these negotiations.
Yes.
If they guide them away from ESPN to NBC as the other partner, because NBC and Peacock need more content, and that is something that they could be maybe overly enthusiastic to get, since ESPN already has the SEC, and I know that we dog it all the time, but they've got the ACC till 2036.
Yeah.
So they've got kind of content where they might be a little distracted from the Big Ten or not be able to enthusiastically back them as much. So NBC is sneaking in and getting that deal. Wouldn't surprise me, and Fox may be saying, like, why not go with NBC so that we can stand up against ESPN a little bit better.
Would have likely been big players. When is the Big Ten deal supposed to be done? I thought a month ago we were talking about $1 billion, and all of a sudden you don't hear much about
because
that.
They might not get them.
Right.
Yeah.
So why would they be big players for an announcer to talk about games they're not going to have? Mm-hmm. So if you get the Big Ten deal done, hey, we've got Big Ten games. We need announcers.
Here you go.
Hey, Jason Benetti, come on down. But now you can't do that because you don't have a deal done.
And look, Jason Benetti's very good.
Yeah.
Very good. So.
And he is. But also I read that only maybe in my way that if it had its Big Ten deal done, as if they do, they just haven't, finalized it.
Yeah, that's how I read it. Yeah, that's how we read it. Yeah.
That's exactly why I brought it up. Yeah, that's why I said it's either a big ball of nothing or it's a Freudian slip. It's a slip of the tongue. That's exactly what I'm getting at. If it had its Big Ten deal done, implying that they are in negotiations for a Big Ten deal.
Absolutely.
Revealing that, hey, they might be one of those networks that's being talked about if it wasn't already confirmed elsewhere. But I haven't seen any confirmation that NBC's working on its Big Ten deal. Only their piece in Notre Dame, obviously, and then what they might want to build around that. If you guys will remember, it was like 3 days ago, there was the talk about the loose Big 12 and Notre Dame and what that could do. And NBC wants to build programming. Remember? Mm-hmm. Shoulder programming around Notre Dame. And, hey, who's a great candidate for that? How about the Big 12? Like, that's the whole thing. That's what I'm saying is, like, that's either just a random slip or that's letting us know that, they're going to be one of those parties. And if they are, well, that's big news for the Big 12 because that's less games that would be available, less windows, or anybody else for that matter who NBC might have had interest in or who might have had interest in NBC. So, again, like Mac Rhodes says, the Big Ten deal, they need to figure that out. Well, there you go. Because there's one party that might be off the table that you thought might be an option because they're also going to join the Big Ten party and pair that with Notre Dame. Now, what that reveals about Notre Dame and the Big Ten, maybe something, maybe nothing. Again, that's why I found it highly interesting. And it will also be highly interesting for Matt Rhodes and for everyone else is if you know that Fox already has the Big Ten. We know that. Let's say NBC is another piece of that. Well, where does it stop, though? Does it stop with one more party like Amazon joining, or does Netflix also get involved? And everybody comes in like vultures and takes every piece of the Big Ten they can and fill up on that, and then where's everybody else? And where are their time slots? And there's the fear. And so, yeah, that's massive news if that's the direction that it's headed.
And then what does that leave for CBS as well in all of this as well?
Or people that are rumored to be interested that might not care if it's not a certain brand.
Yep.
You know, it might not be worth the investment for some. Especially some of the outer mentions, like Netflix. I really do wonder because I feel like it's one thing to have a streaming service, guys. Another thing to do live sports on a streaming service. Like that takes a big commitment that they're not really set up for in any way versus an Amazon who's already in the game with skins. That's a different ball game. So that's why I'm a little hesitant to believe that they're going to come diving in, but who knows?
They do a lot of soccer. So
Netflix does?
No, I thought you were talking NBC. No, Netflix does.
I'm saying
anything.
Netflix to start basically doing live sports would be completely from scratch.
Yeah.
And so that's why whenever they're mentioned, I'm like, I don't know. That seems like it would take a while to build up. And I don't know that they're making massive live sports investments when we just got done having a whole panic attack about their shares going down off mere speculation.
Why would you not do something lower tier to like figure yourself out first?
Exactly.
And as opposed to like, hey, all you fans who love college, this particular conference, come and watch us on Netflix.
You're not going to start with like Big Ten broadcasts and be like, let's just figure it out as we go. No, you do like the USFL or something if you were going to try to start doing streaming sports. So again, that's why my eyebrows raise a bit with that tweet right there.
All right, when we come back, we will hear from Grayson Grundhafer, 6